I died in the cold winter of my freshman year. Not from illness, not from accident, but from long-term dormitory bullying, mental torture, and deliberate frame-ups that crushed me inch by inch. My name is Lin Wand. I end my previous life. I was an ordinary, introverted, soft-tempered college freshman. I came from a small, ordinary family, with no powerful background, no prominent connections, only good grades, and a timid character. It was precisely my timidity and ordinariness that made me the fixed bullying target of the 3 core members of dormitory 407 for a whole year. The dorm leader, by Shershur, was the daughter of a district wealthy businessman, arrogant, narrow-minded, and extremely controlling. She hated anyone who was more outstanding and well-behaved than her, and took pleasure in suppressing humble students from ordinary families. The second roommate, Zhang Man, was by Shershur's loyal follower, fawned on the rich and powerful, bullied the weak, and was best at spreading rumors and sowing discord. The third roommate, Lu Yu, was quiet on the surface, but insidious and vicious in private. She specialized in secretly destroying other people's belongings and planting hidden traps to frame others. In my previous life, I endured all their malice silently. They occupied my desk and wardrobe without permission, threw my daily necessities into the trash can, stole my scholarship certificates and competition works, and deliberately made loud noises all night to prevent me from resting. Every time I resisted slightly, they would gang up to isolate me, spread vicious rumors in the whole grade, slander me as scheming, hypocritical, and deliberately curry favor with teachers. The worst thing was the final frame-up at the end of the freshman year. In order to take away my national scholarship and the recommendation qualification for the provincial excellent student, by Shershur and the other 2 united to tamper with my exam answer sheet, forged my cheating evidence, and reported me to the college anonymously. I had no background, no connections, and no one to defend me. The school indiscriminately gave me a major demerit punishment, revoked all my honors and qualifications, and put a stain on my file that would never be erased. Overnight, I changed from a top student with a bright future to a notorious cheater in the whole school. Teachers looked down on me, classmates alienated and mocked me, and even my parents, who were looking forward to my success, were extremely disappointed in me. I was crushed by the overwhelming pressure and grievance. I suffered from severe depression, dropped out of school in despair, and finally jumped off the rooftop of the teaching building on a snowy night, ending my young and short life. Before I died, I stood on the rooftop and saw the 3 of them standing in the dormitory window, laughing and celebrating my downfall. Bai Shershur held the scholarship certificate that originally belonged to me and said mockingly, "A poor person's hard work is just a joke. Without background and power, you can only be stepped on by others." That endless hatred and regret froze in my soul until the moment I closed my eyes. If I could do it all over again, I would never be humble and tolerant again. I would make all those who bullied me, framed me, and ruined my life pay 100-fold and 1,000-fold price. The heavy snow fell, and my consciousness completely sank into darkness. When I opened my eyes again, the dazzling sunlight streamed through the dormitory window, and the familiar dormitory layout of 407 appeared in front of me. The phone on the desk showed the date, the first week of the freshman semester, 1 month after enrollment. I'm Reborn. I returned to the starting point of all the bullying and misfortune. At this moment, the 3 vicious roommates who ruined my life were sitting not far away, chatting and laughing casually, already planning their first round of targeting and isolation against me. Zhang Man flipped through my textbook casually and said in a low voice, "Bai Jie, Lin Wan's grades are too good. If she keeps taking top scores, our scholarships will be affected sooner or later." Lu Yu nodded in agreement. "She's too quiet and boring, always pretending to be well-behaved. It's really annoying. We have to let her know the rules of the dormitory sooner or later." Bai Shershur leaned on the chair arrogantly, raised her chin, and glanced at me, who just woke up, her eyes full of disdain. No hurry, the country bumpkin with no background can be manipulated casually. From today on, all the dormitory chores are hers, and she is not allowed to refute. In my previous life, when I heard these words, I would lower my head timidly, choose to compromise and endure, and take the initiative to undertake all the dirty and tiring work in the dormitory in exchange for a moment of peace. But now, after experiencing a lifetime of despair and death, My heart is as cold as ice, and there is no trace of timidity and weakness left. I slowly sat up from the bed, my eyes calm and cold, and for the first time, I took the initiative to meet their arrogant and mocking gazes. The road of revenge and face-slapping starts from this second. This life, I have no tolerance, no compromise, no soft heart. All bullies will be crushed completely by me. Hashtag Chapter 1 First Round Face-Slapping. Break the bullying rules. The dormitory of University A is a standard 4-person room with upper beds and lower desks. I live in the innermost bed, which is the most remote and quiet position, and also the position they deliberately arranged for me to isolate me in my previous life. Bai Shirshir sat at the central desk, which was the best position with the best light and view. She had long occupied the public area of the dormitory, piled her luxury cosmetics and brand-name bags on the public table, and arbitrarily stipulated that everyone in the dormitory must listen to her arrangements. Seeing me staring at her without speaking, Bai Shirshir's face turned cold, and her tone was full of domineering orders. Lin Wan, did you hear what I just said? From today on, you're responsible for cleaning the dormitory, taking out the trash, fetching water, and mopping the floor every day. We 3 don't do housework. Zhang Man echoed immediately with a sneer. That's right. You're the most ordinary in our dormitory, so you should do more work. It's your honor to serve us. Lu Yu also pretended to be gentle and persuasive, but her words were full of malice. Lin Wan, don't be ignorant. Bai Jia has a good family background and wide connections. If you obey honestly, we can take you to hang out and make friends. If you are stubborn, you will suffer in the future. This was their usual routine in the previous life. First using orders to squeeze me, then using threats to coerce me, and finally using isolation to suppress me, forcing me to completely succumb to their control. In the past, I was afraid of being isolated and excluded, so I compromised step by step, and finally let their malice expand infinitely, leading to a complete collapse of my life. But now, I just raised the corner of my mouth and let out a cold laugh. Why should I do it? My voice was clear and cold, without any flinch or timidity. The 3 of them were stunned at the same time, obviously not expecting that the always introverted and obedient me would dare to refute them directly. Bai Shirshir's face turned darker instantly, and she slapped the table heavily with a loud bang. Lin Wan, what's your attitude? Do you dare to talk back to me? This is a dormitory shared by 4 people, not your private territory. I looked at her calmly, my eyes sharp and unyielding. The dormitory chores are shared by everyone. There is no reason for me to do all the work alone for no reason. You, Bai Shirshir was furious, her arrogant face full of disbelief. Do you know who I am? My family is a famous local merchant. I can make you have a hard time in this school with a single word. She habitually took out her family's power to pressure me. In my previous life, I was frightened by her words and immediately chose to compromise. But now I know clearly that her so-called power is just bluffing in the campus. She dares not make a big deal, and she is not qualified to control my life. I stood up slowly, my figure thin but straight, and looked at the 3 people in front of me one by one. You can try. My tone was flat, but full of strong deterrence. The school has clear dormitory management regulations. If you want to engage in dormitory bullying and force your classmates to do chores, I can go directly to the counselor, the student union, and even the school leadership to report you. I want to see if your family's face is more important, or your reputation and school status are more important. Bai Shirshir's face turned pale in an instant. She was arrogant and domineering, but she cared most about her reputation and her perfect student image in school. She never dared to leave a bad record in the school file. Zhang Man was also flustered. She relied on Bai Shirshir to bully others. Once Bai Shirshir's reputation was damaged, she would get no benefits at all. Lu Yu's eyes flashed with panic, and she quietly stepped back half a step, intending to stay out of the matter. I saw through their cowardice at a glance. Bullies are always bullying the weak and fearing the strong. As long as you are tough enough, their false arrogance will collapse in an instant. I took the opportunity to strike while the iron was hot and directly pointed out their petty tricks. In the past few days, you have privately occupied my public desk space, piled your sundries on my position, and secretly moved my books. I have recorded all these behaviors. I took out my mobile phone and opened the photo album, which was the evidence I had secretly taken after my rebirth early this morning. Every picture clearly recorded their private occupation of my position and their random placement of my belongings. If you want to make trouble, we can go to the counselor's office to make it clear today and let the whole grade see your so-called noble demeanor. Bai Shirshi's chest heaved violently with anger, but she did not dare to continue to make trouble. She stared at me fiercely, her eyes full of resentment and disbelief. She couldn't understand why the humble and cowardly Lin Nuan suddenly became so sharp and tough overnight. Okay, very good. Bai Shirshir gritted her teeth. Lin Nuan, you are ruthless. Just wait and see. After leaving a threatening sentence, she could only hold back her anger and clean up her sundries on my desk. Zhang Man and Lu Yu did not dare to say a word more, and silently began to clean the dormitory, taking the initiative to undertake the housework they had always refused to do. The first round of confrontation ended with my complete victory. I broke their long-planned bullying rules in one fell swoop, broke their arrogant control, and let them know that I, Lin Nuan, would never be their bullied tool again. But I know clearly that this is just the beginning. The three of them are narrow-minded and vengeful. They will definitely secretly plot more vicious tricks to target me. In my previous life, I was caught off guard by their endless plots. But in this life, I have the memory of my previous life, know all their tricks and routines, and can completely take the initiative to counterattack and crush all their schemes. Hashtag Chapter 2 Preemptive Strike. Thoroughly expose the rumor trap. After the first failed confrontation, Bai Shirshir and the other two really became honest on the surface for a few days. They no longer openly ordered me to do chores, no longer occupied my position arbitrarily, and even took the initiative to talk to me with a smile, pretending to reconcile. Many naive students would think that they had repented and changed their ways, and choose to forgive and reconcile. But I know their essence too well. Their temporary honesty is just a disguise. They are secretly brewing a more insidious rumor trap, trying to ruin my reputation in the whole class and grade, making me completely isolated. In my previous life, a week after the first confrontation, a vicious rumor suddenly spread in the class. Someone slandered me for secretly competing with Bai Shirshir for a male god senior, taking the initiative to pester boys, being superficial and scheming, and deliberately currying favor with teachers for extra points. These groundless rumors spread rapidly. In just one day, the whole grade knew them. Everyone looked at me with strange eyes, pointed, and whispered behind my back. I was isolated by the whole class overnight. No one was willing to talk to me. No one was willing to team up with me for group homework, and I became a lonely joke in the class. Later I found out that all these rumors were fabricated and spread by Zhang Man, instructed by Bai Shirshir, and Lu Yu helped to collect fake witnesses. They used public opinion to isolate me, making me lose all external support, and then they could bully me wantonly in the dormitory, without any scruples. This time, I will never let them succeed again. In the previous life, I was caught off guard and passively defended, so I was covered in bruises by the rumors. In this life, I choose to take the initiative to attack, preemptively strike, and expose their true colors completely before their rumors spread. In the evening self-study class, all the students in the class were sitting in their seats quietly studying. Zhang Man took advantage of the teacher's absence and secretly sent messages in the class group, quietly releasing the first version of the false rumor, trying to test the public opinion reaction. She thought she was hidden and secret, but all her operations were clearly seen by me. I had already been on guard against their tricks. I had long opened the group chat interface and recorded all her rumor-spreading records in real time. Not only that, I also took the initiative to sort out all the evidence of their dormitory bullying in the previous period. The video of them forcing me to do chores, the photos of occupying my position, and the audio of their insulting and mocking me in private. When Zhang Man was still secretly waiting for the rumor to ferment, I stood up directly from my seat in full view of everyone. Teacher, classmates, I have something important to announce. My clear voice broke the quiet atmosphere of the classroom, and all the students looked up at me in surprise. The evening self-study teacher walked over and asked gently, "What's the matter, Lin Nuan?" I held my mobile phone, my expression calm and upright, without any flinch. Recently, some people in the class have been secretly spreading false rumors, slandering my personal character, trying to isolate me and damage my reputation. I have obtained complete evidence. As soon as the words fell, the whole class was in an uproar. Everyone looked at each other in shock, not expecting that there was such a secret rumor storm in the class. Zhang Man's face turned pale instantly, and she panicked and wanted to hide her mobile phone, but it was too late. I directly projected my mobile phone screen on the classroom multimedia screen, and all the chat records and rumor-spreading content were clearly displayed in front of the whole class. The person who spread the rumor is Zhang Man from our class. I pointed to the screen and explained word by word. All the false content about me pestering boys and scheming for points is fabricated out of thin air by her. There is no factual basis at all. Immediately afterwards, I played the recorded audio and video of dormitory bullying one by one. The arrogant order of Bai Shishir forcing me to do chores, the malicious mockery of Zhang Man, and the insidious instigation of Lu Yu were all completely exposed to the public. The whole classroom fell into dead silence. All the students stared at the three of Bai Shishir in disbelief. They usually looked gentle and friendly in class, but they were so vicious and domineering in private. I didn't expect them to bully their roommates like this in private. It's too scary, pretending to be nice in public and playing tricks in private. No wonder Lin Wan was always quiet before. It turns out she was wronged all the time. The whispers of the students kept coming, and all the public opinion completely turned to my side. Bai Shishir's face was livid, and she couldn't maintain her gentle and generous persona anymore. She stood up abruptly and wanted to argue. This is all fake. She edited the video and audio deliberately to slander us. Fake. I looked at her coldly. The video has complete time stamping and original file records, and the audio has not been edited at all. The teacher can verify it on the spot. The teacher checked carefully and immediately confirmed that all the evidence was true and valid. Bai Shishir's last line of defense completely collapsed. She stood stiffly in place, her face pale and embarrassed, and all her arrogance disappeared completely. Zhang Man was so frightened that she almost cried. She never thought that I would be so decisive and tough, directly exposing all their tricks in public. Lu Yu lowered her head tightly, not daring to look at anyone, completely hiding her figure, and was no longer as insidious and cunning as before. I took the opportunity to completely cut off their possibility of spreading rumors again. I have always kept a humble and low profile and have never taken the initiative to conflict with anyone, but I will never tolerate dormitory bullying and malicious rumor-mongering. In the future, if anyone continues to spread false rumors to slander me, I will directly hand over all the evidence to the school and pursue the responsibility to the end. My words were sonorous and powerful, full of deterrence. From this moment on, all the rumors targeting me were completely strangled in the cradle. The three of Bai Shishir not only failed to isolate me, but completely ruined their own reputation in the class and grade, and became the target of everyone's disdain and discussion. This is the first thorough counterattack of public opinion, and it is also the beginning of their complete downfall. Chapter 3 Academic Anti-Suppression completely crushed their vanity. After the rumor incident, the three of Bai Shishir completely lost their good reputation in the class. They were hated and alienated by most students, and no longer had the capital to show off and dominate in the class. But their inner jealousy and resentment towards me became more and more intense. They knew that they could not suppress me in terms of reputation and public opinion, so they set their target on academic performance and scholarships that they cared most about. Bai Shishir has always been extremely vain. She cares most about her grade ranking and various honor qualifications. She can't accept that an ordinary student like me is better than her in everything. In my previous life, she relied on secretly copying homework, asking people to take exams for her, and using family connections to ask teachers for extra points to maintain her mid-range grades, and then slandered me for relying on hard work and being stupid. This life, she still wants to repeat the old trick, trying to suppress my academic performance and take away my scholarship qualifications. A week before the midterm exam, Bai Shishir privately found many classmates to spread words, saying that my usual good grades were all due to cheating and rote memorization, and I would definitely fail the midterm exam. She also deliberately distracted me before the exam, found various trivial matters to quarrel with me in the dormitory late at night, trying to affect my rest and review state. Zhang Man and Lu Yu also cooperated with her, deliberately hiding my review materials and textbooks, trying to make me lose key review content. In my previous life, I was affected by their interference, my review state was chaotic, and I missed many key knowledge points. My midterm grades dropped sharply, and I was caught by them and ridiculed wantonly for a long time. But in this life, I have long been prepared. I knew all their interference routines in advance, so I copied all the review materials and textbooks in advance and stored them in my mobile phone cloud disk and made multiple backups to prevent loss. For their late-night quarrel and disturbance, I directly recorded the audio and reported it to the counselor, applied for temporary dormitory adjustment during the exam review period, and moved to the empty dormitory on the spare floor of the teaching building to review quietly. I completely isolated all their interference and distractions, devoted myself to review, and maintained the best learning state. The midterm exam came as scheduled. Bai Shirshir was full of confidence before the exam, showing off everywhere that she would definitely surpass me and take the first place in the grade. She even boasted to the teacher that her usual grades were stable and she was fully prepared for the exam, waiting for the result to slap me in the face. But when the exam results were released, the whole grade was shocked. I ranked first in the whole grade with an absolute high score, far surpassing all my classmates, and won the highest academic scholarship of the college. And Bai Shirshir's grades dropped sharply to the bottom of the middle level of the grade, with multiple professional courses failing to reach the passing line. Zhang Man and Lu Yu's grades also plummeted, both falling out of the excellent grade range. The reason is very simple. They spent all their time on scheming and bullying others, and had no intention of studying at all. All their usual good grades were false and deceptive. The teacher specially praised me in the class, affirmed my serious learning attitude and excellent grades, and publicly criticized the three of Bai Shirshir for their impetuous learning attitude and poor grades. Some students only care about intrigue and gossip all day long, ignore their studies, and their grades drop again and again. This is the most shameful thing for college students. Every word of the teacher's criticism was like a slap in the face, slapping the three of them speechless. Bai Shirshir's face was burning with pain. All her previous boasting and vanity became the biggest joke. She stood in front of the whole class, completely embarrassed and humiliated. She couldn't accept this result and rushed to me after class with red eyes, questioning sharply, "You must have cheated. How could you get such a high score? It's impossible." I looked at her hysterical appearance indifferently and said calmly, "The exam has full monitoring and invigilation records, and the test papers are graded uniformly by the school. You can apply for score verification and monitoring checking at any time. If you can't do it yourself, don't deny other people's efforts." My words were clear and powerful, completely crushing her last bit of vanity and stubbornness. All the students around looked at her with disdain and ridicule. Bai Shirshir was completely defeated in academics, and she never had the face to show off her grades in front of others again. I completely suppressed their academic vanity with absolute strength, letting them know that all their schemes and tricks are vulnerable to real strength. Hashtag Chapter 4 Dig Out the Old Tricks, expose the frame-up conspiracy in advance. After suffering successive defeats in reputation and academics, the three of Bai Shirshir completely lost their calm. Their jealousy towards me had reached an uncontrollable extreme. They were no longer satisfied with small-scale suppression and gossip, and began to plan a fatal frame-up conspiracy. I clearly remember that in my previous life, 1 month after the midterm exam, they stole the teacher's office test paper in advance, copied the answer template, and then secretly placed the copied answer sheet in my school bag while I was away. Then they anonymously reported me for stealing test papers and cheating in advance, and provided the so-called evidence of the answer sheet in my school bag. At that time, I had no defense evidence and no time to explain, so I was directly convicted of cheating and suffered the most serious demerit punishment in my life. This was the fatal conspiracy that completely ruined my previous life. In this life, I will never let them succeed again. I've been staring at their every move since the end of the midterm exam, waiting for them to take the initiative to show their flaws. Sure enough, after being defeated repeatedly, they couldn't hold back anymore and began to implement the frame-up plan step by step. First, Bai Shirshir used her family's relationship to contact the staff near the teacher's office, trying to steal the final exam test paper in advance. Then Lu Yu was responsible for copying the standard answers, and Zhang Man was responsible for sneaking into my seat to place the evidence. They thought their plan was seamless and secret, but every step was under my control. I first reported their abnormal behavior to the counselor and the school discipline inspection department in advance, and explained their possible frame-up routine based on the previous similar bad behaviors. Then I installed a miniature portable recording device in my school bag and a hidden monitoring device beside my seat to record all their movements. On the day they planned to frame me, the three of them took advantage of the lunch break when no one was in the classroom and sneaked back quietly. Luyu took out the copied answer sheet from her pocket, and Zhangman quickly stuffed it into the interlayer of my school bag. Bai Shishir stood by to guard, carefully observing the surroundings, confirming that no one found their behavior. After completing all the arrangements, they looked at each other and smiled proudly, thinking that they could completely ruin my reputation this time. But they didn't know that all their sneaky behaviors were completely recorded by the monitoring and recording equipment. 10 minutes later, they took the initiative to run to the discipline inspection department to report me, pretending to find cheating evidence in my school bag by accident. The school discipline inspection teacher immediately came to the classroom with them to verify the evidence. Facing the teacher's inquiry, the three of them performed vividly, pretending to be fair and upright, and seriously accusing me of stealing test papers and cheating. Teacher, Lin Wen usually looks quiet, but she is actually very scheming. She must have stolen the test paper in advance to get good grades. We found the answer sheet in her school bag with our own eyes. The evidence is conclusive this time. They spoke plausibly, with confident expressions, waiting for me to be severely punished by the school. At this moment, I walked back to the classroom slowly. Facing their false accusation and the teacher's suspicious eyes, I was completely calm and unflustered. Teacher, before you judge, please watch this video and listen to this audio. I directly played the complete monitoring video and recording of their sneakily placing evidence in my school bag. The clear picture and real audio completely restored the whole process of their deliberate frame-up and false accusation. The proud smiles on the three of them froze instantly, and their faces turned ashen in an instant. The whole process of their conspiracy and trick was exposed to the teachers and all the onlookers. The discipline inspection teacher's face turned cold on the spot, and his tone was extremely severe. You three actually dared to deliberately frame up your classmates and fake cheating evidence. This is a serious violation of school discipline. Bai Shishir panicked completely and tried to quibble. Teacher, this is a misunderstanding. We didn't mean it. It's all a joke. Joke. I looked at her coldly. Deliberately forging cheating evidence to ruin a classmate's academic future. Is this your joke? In my previous life, you succeeded in framing me, making me drop out of school in despair and die in hatred. This life, I will let you pay for all your sins. Although I didn't say the word rebirth, my cold and resentful eyes made the three of them tremble with fear. The school dealt with it extremely quickly and severely. The three of Bai Shishir were given a serious public demerit punishment, which was recorded in their permanent school files. They were disqualified from all scholarships, honors, and school cadre qualifications for life, and were publicly criticized in the whole school. The false reputation and perfect persona they had painstakingly maintained for many years were completely shattered. Their future college employment and postgraduate recommendation qualifications were completely ruined by their own viciousness. Chapter 5 Complete Downfall of the Villains, Thorough Victory of Counterattack. After the public demerit punishment, the three of Bai Shishir completely became the most notorious negative models in the school. The whole school knew that they were vicious, narrow-minded, good at intrigue and frame-up, and no one was willing to associate with them anymore. Their family power, which they had always been proud of, also completely failed to work in the face of solid evidence and school public opinion. Bai Shishir's parents rushed to the school to intercede, trying to spend money to eliminate the punishment record, but they were directly rejected by the school leaders. The school clearly stipulated that deliberate frame-up of classmates and violation of academic integrity are serious disciplinary violations and will never be forgiven. Bai Shishir's family's face was completely lost in the local education circle. Her parents were extremely disappointed and angry with her and completely cut off her extravagant pocket money and social resources. From a wealthy and arrogant young lady, she fell to an ordinary student with no privileges overnight. Zhang Man's parents were ordinary working families. After knowing what their daughter had done, they were extremely ashamed and angry and severely punished her, cutting off all her entertainment expenses. Zhang Man, who used to fawn on the rich and bully the weak, completely lost her support and backing and could only endure the isolation and ridicule of her classmates alone. Lu Yu's insidious and hypocritical true colors were completely exposed. No one in the class dared to contact her again for fear of being secretly framed by her. The three of them were completely isolated in the dormitory and class, living in endless embarrassment and regret every day. The 407 dormitory, which used to be full of their malice and bullying, completely became quiet. They no longer dared to have any conflict with me, no longer dared to have any malicious thoughts, and even dared not look me in the eye when they met me. They finally tasted the bitter fruit of being isolated and bullied, and experienced the despair and grievance I endured in my previous life. This is the most fair retribution. Good deeds will be rewarded, and evil deeds will be punished. All the malice they released will eventually return to themselves. And I, after breaking all the suppression and bullying, ushered in a brilliant and brand new college life. My grades have always ranked first in the grade, winning national scholarships and various provincial and municipal professional competition awards one after another. I joined the school's key scientific research project team, was valued and cultivated by professional teachers, and had a bright future. I made sincere and kind new friends, stayed away from all negative people and trivial troubles, and lived a calm, independent, and excellent life. I no longer have timidity and inferiority in my heart, only self-confidence, calmness, and strength. I understand thoroughly that the strongest reliance is never others' favor and pity, but my own strength and toughness. In the past life, I tolerated weakness and was trampled wantonly. In this life, I am tough and upright, and no one dares to bully me. Hashtag Chapter 6 Final Ending. Female Growth. Evil has no escape. 1 year later, I successfully obtained the qualification for postgraduate recommendation with an excellent comprehensive score, and was admitted to the top university in the country with the first place in the professional ranking. I published many high-quality academic papers, won national-level innovation awards, and became a well-known outstanding student in the college. My life is shining brightly, walking step by step towards a higher and farther future. In contrast, the ending of the three bullies is extremely desolate. Bai Shirshir's academic performance has been at the bottom all year round. With a serious demerit record on her file, she failed to pass the postgraduate recommendation and scholarship selection. No excellent enterprise is willing to recruit her during the campus recruitment season. She can only take a low-end ordinary job after graduation. Her family's business was affected by her negative reputation, and many cooperative projects were terminated, leading to a gradual decline in the family industry. She completely lost the superior life she once had. Zhang Man was isolated all year round, suffered from severe mental anxiety, and her academic performance was completely abandoned. She barely passed the graduation examination and had no excellent employment options. She could only return to her hometown to work an ordinary job. Lu Yu's hypocritical and insidious reputation spread throughout the school. She was never trusted by anyone. She had no friends, no connections, and no development resources. She lived in endless loneliness and regret. The three people who once joined forces to bully me and ruin my life finally fell into the abyss they dug for themselves. They lost their reputation, future, glory, and superiority, and spent their whole life bearing the bitter fruit of their own malice. And I completely broke free from the shadow of my previous life, completed the most gorgeous growth and counterattack. I no longer resent the bullying and pain of the past, because those sufferings have long become the motivation for me to grow stronger. I understand that the best revenge is never to entangle with villains, but to live a more wonderful and excellent life than everyone. All the darkness will eventually dissipate, all the malice will eventually be punished, and all the persistence and strength will eventually usher in endless light. This life I walk alone, bright and upright, no longer bullied, no longer wronged, only brilliant future and endless freedom.